Hey, everybody. Welcome back to my show. This is the Devotional Hearts Show, and I'm Allison, and you can find me on Instagram at A Devotional Heart. And today, my guest is named Daniel, and on Instagram, he's known as Hebrews 11:1. And I'm going to be asking him why he chose that and a bunch of other questions about his conversion. So, without further ado, welcome, Daniel.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate being here.
Oh, I'm really happy that you agreed to be my guest. So, I know a little bit about your backstory, but I would love for my audience to learn all about you and how you found the Orthodox Church and the different types of Christianity that you explored before becoming Orthodox. So, why don't you just start with your upbringing and take us all the way through to present?
Okay. Yeah, I was born into a Protestant family. I was in Pentecostalism and some Baptist here and there, and just basic Protestant theology, stuff like that. And I always believed in God and had faith and things like that. But as I grew older, I kind of ventured away from going to church, and I just had my Bible and thought that I could just read my Bible and get closer to God on my own, and not go to church. And I saw a lot of corruption in the church, Protestant church I was going to, and so I decided to just venture away from that. And then I got into my teenage years, where I was learning more about the world and trying to figure out if what I was doing was like the right thing. I always wanted to just find the right thing. What are we here for? Stuff like that. But um, what happened was I stopped going to church. I just read my Bible, and then I started researching more about the history of some things, and then I got into like Christian apologetics and learning more about uh, trying to explain certain things that were never explained to me. Um, and I went down this road to where it was more of it was a very lonely road because no one around me was really trying to research or look deeper into what we believed in. It was just more of a, oh, you just go to church and you're a good person and you do all these things. And that was it. And I knew there was something missing. I knew there's something that I was looking for that was not there. And I had no idea what it was at the time. And then so as I got a little bit older, I got out of high school. I started moving more into the world and just kind of away from all of that, unfortunately. And I got into music and just performing at a couple places, and got into a couple music groups and started hanging around the wrong crowd, stuff like that. I basically just kind of put my faith on hold. I still believed in God. I still tried to do the right thing, but I was a bit warped, just wanting to just please others and see where I can go in life and have a good time. And basically, what happened was I got into a car accident in 2016, and that I think that really set me on another path. It kind of set me back to my faith, and I leaned more on my faith than I was. I kind of stopped doing music and stuff, and I started getting into groups online about Hebrew theology and stuff like that. And I got into these groups who were they were like Hebrew Israelites, and it was a movement called the Hebrew Roots movement that we were in. And at the time, I thought that I was trying to find a home. I had just gotten in this horrible car accident, and where like we were just a small length away from a light pole where we would have wrapped around it if we would have hit it. And it was really bad. And it kind of set me on a mindset that, you know, I don't know what could happen to me, and I don't know where I would be, you know, if something did happen to me, because I've been going on this dark path for a bit, and I was just trying to find some answers to certain things. And so these Hebrew Israelite people, they were kind of like, they're becoming a family to me, basically. It was like an online type of community of other people who were searching more for the ancient church, or, you know, the way, right? And at the time, I didn't know it was Orthodoxy. I didn't know Orthodoxy really existed. I mean, I knew about Russia, and that was about it, but nothing past, oh, the Russians, they're Christians and they hold up these giant icons all the time. You know, nothing past that is what I knew. And basically, I thought that we were going down the right path. I thought we found the ancient church, and these things that we were doing seemed right, because we started learning about Hebrew names, and I basically became a sacred namer. I stopped using the name Jesus. Because, oh well, the letter J only came about 500 years ago, you know, stuff like that. Like, this is false, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it was more of a pointing fingers type of game that we were playing, and at the time I didn't realize that. And I went down this path, and I met a few people, but ultimately what happened was I ventured away from that even, and I started getting back into the world more and more and more as things started happening, and started doing music again. And I was supposed to go to LA and meet with a couple people and do some producing and stuff. And I had music videos planned, and all of these so-called great things that I was looking forward to. And I kind of hit a wall. Something was just nagging at me, that it was like trying to pull me away from that, even though things were going great. Like, everything was really lining up the way that, you know, that I wanted it to. And so I met a person, and we started dating, and she kind of showed me a more simple way of living, that steered me away from that kind of high life path that I wanted to go down. And I ended up not going to LA and just stayed here in Alaska, and just kind of moving my life a bit more in a simple direction. And as I was doing that, I was like, man, you know what? I want to get back into Christian apologetics. I want to get back into, you know, all these things that I've been trying to get into basically all my life, find that home, you know. And as I was researching, someone had told me about Orthodoxy, I think about 3 years prior to this moment. And I brushed it off. I thought it was evil. And it's, you know, the iconography is idolatry, and all these things. And I just brushed it off so bad at that time.
And can I ask you a question? Was your girlfriend at the time, was she a Christian? And what do you mean exactly about being more simple? Like not so world, like you didn't want to make money?
Yeah. So she wasn't necessarily like a hardcore Protestant.
But she was a believer.
But she was a believer. Yeah, she was a believer, but she was more into like a new age type of belief. Like, oh, you know, I'm trying to get closer to God, and this is how I do it. You know, I have these crystals, and, you know, it was more of like a witchcrafty type of Christianity, if that makes sense. It was very new age, and Yeah,
Was
but
they trying,
it was
they
simple.
believe that Christ was just one of many ascended masters, like that kind of
It
belief?
wasn't to that extreme.
Okay.
No, it wasn't to that extreme.
Okay.
She just like knew that God was legit, and but she didn't want to go through the common ways of getting to know him. She wanted to get to know him through nature and
Mm.
things like that, which ultimately it just ended up being something else. It wasn't really Christianity. I can't really explain it how like what she was really into, but I wanted to get into that, and so and it was much simpler than what I was trying to do, and I knew it was something. It ultimately led me to orthodoxy, even though it was not something that I recommend, but it led me there because of what it brought me from, what I was trying to do. Um, it just kind of diverted my path. And so while I was with her, I started questioning a lot of things because of that, because of what she was trying to show me. And so I stopped that whole life, and I just wanted to, because we were living together at the time, and we were kind of planning our life and stuff. And basically, I went back to that thought of, like, someone had told me about orthodoxy like 3 years before that, and I was like, you know what? For some reason, I just feel like looking this up. Like, and then my friend from the Hebrew Roots movement had messaged me, talking about how he was getting into orthodoxy, and I was like, yeah, I heard that word before. I heard that word before, and um, and I was like, yeah, I was just thinking about that. I was just thinking about that, and then he was like, yeah, yeah, here's all these links, and he showed me the holy fire. Um, which blew my mind. He showed me the crying icons and the stories behind certain ones, and the saints, and all of these things I've never really heard of, you know, um, and I was like, wow, it just blew my mind. It kind of opened me up, just um, and at the time, the woman I was dating, I was trying to show her. I was like, look at this, like look at what's going on, and look at these people, and et cetera, like, what do you think? And she was pretty amazed by it. And so I was like, yeah, you know, maybe we should check it out, et cetera. But I had we had a rocky type of relationship going because she wanted to go one direction and I wanted to go another direction. And it was just kind of pulling us apart. And the more I researched into orthodoxy, the more I realized that we couldn't be together. Um, at least the way that we were living. And so I told her, I was like, I'm going to go over to this church, and it's right down the street. At the time that we lived right next to the church, the parish that I'm going to now. And I thought, I don't believe in coincidences. I never did. And so I was like, this is, this has got to be something. We just happened to be right down the street from it. And she was like, okay. And so I, yeah, me and her just went there. And as soon as I walked through the doors, it was just like this warm, like honey feeling, like someone was just pouring honey into my heart. It was like I can't explain it. And I knew right then and there this was it. Like when I walked in and I saw, and I was in the narthex, and I saw how everything was, and the candles and the incense hit me, and um it was just really weird. And then we went to divine liturgy, and that was my first service, my first experience there. And I really felt like I was in heaven.
Mhm.
I really felt like I was in heaven. And I know a lot of people say that and stuff, but it's true. I mean, that's just what it feels like.
Yeah.
And after that, they just took us in. There were so many people who just crowded around us, and had us sit with them, and because we had they like to have coffee hour, you know, after divine liturgy and stuff. And we're all fellowshipping and stuff, and they were asking us where we're from, et cetera, et cetera. And it just felt, it was that huge family thing that I was looking for. And I was like, wow, I want to learn more about these people and get involved, et cetera, et cetera. And then she didn't feel that. She didn't feel any of the things that just talked about. And it was like we experienced two completely different experiences, even though we went there at the same time, and and it yeah. So she basically was like, it's cool or whatever, but I'm I don't know. And so we just agreed to just separate and go our own ways, because at that moment I was like, there was nothing that was really gonna separate me from that church because of what I just experienced.
Yeah,
And I
I know
was
that
just like,
feeling.
yeah, yeah, like, sorry,
Yeah.
Um, and I put everything away. Everything that I was doing or wanted to do, it just changed after I visited the parish. And I had to restart my life. Just, I had to start from the bottom again. And
Mhm.
um, it's been glorious.
So you became a catechumen right away?
Not right away. It was I it was kind of funny. I asked my priest, I was like, the next time that I went, I asked him, I said, how do I become Orthodox? How do I become Orthodox? I was like this little kid who just, just found this new toy and was like, oh, how do I get this? But and he was like, you just, just continue to meet with me and continue to come to the services, and stuff like that. And so I did, and then eventually I became a catechumen um, uh, a couple months after I first visited. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it usually, I didn't mean like that day or anything. It usually takes a couple weeks at least, but yeah, that's cute that you wanted, you're like, how do I do this?
yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I really had that, like, that convertitis
Yes, yes.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in catechism a couple months ago. There was a new fellow there, and he was raised, he had been Roman Catholic his whole life, but he found our church. And I mean, he asked the priest, okay, when can I be baptized Orthodox, because I'm ready? And his answer was like, well, same thing that your priest said to you. He's like, well, you come to divine liturgy, keep coming to catechism, I'll meet with you privately, we'll talk about it, but it's a process. Even if you're coming from Roman Catholicism, which is similar in a lot of ways, it's still
Yeah.
different in a lot of ways too. And it's a process. So yeah. So that is something we were going to talk about too, about this. What did you call it? Convertitis or something, like this
Yeah.
zeal for the faith. And when I spoke with you before today's interview, we talked a little bit about this, and I thought it was a really important topic. And I'd love for you to share, because, I'm very new also, so I'm sure I can learn something from you as well. So tell the audience kind of what we were talking about like rushing right into becoming Orthodox versus
Yeah.
allowing the process to happen.
Yeah. I do not recommend it. I don't. I There's this certain type of zeal that a lot of people get. Not everyone gets, goes through this, but a lot of people do, and I've noticed that, and I've talked to others about it, and there's this zeal that is so great. It's a good thing, but it can vault you into this mindset that I have just found heaven. I have just found something, the kingdom itself,
Mhm.
that I've been hearing about this whole, my entire life. And this is it. And it's so exciting, and it gets you in this mindset of you're kind of untouchable, kind of, you know. And that's not the case. It's not the case. It's not. It's an entire process that we have to allow to, we have to just let it work and bring us through that beginning portion and on and on. I didn't really do that. I admit I was too high strung on what I had just found. It was like finding, it was the Holy Grail. It was that treasure, that you've been going through this cave this whole time, and you found this heap of treasure, and that was it, that. But convertitis is a thing that's usually prevalent in the online community as well. It's when you have an online presence, about the Orthodox online community and how things can sway in certain ways, and etc. But if you're in this community, especially in you're online and you're in all these groups, and you're wanting to get more into theology and etc., you need to be careful. You need to be very, very careful about that. And I wasn't being very careful about it. I was just trying to learn as much as I can and change as much as I can from my life to like fit that, to fit, certain stuff. And it's just really dangerous, because what you're doing is you're rushing a lot of things. You're not allowing the process to just kind of take you through it, and then you run into an issue, and then it gets taken care of, and you run into another issue. It is more of just kind of throwing yourself in there, and it can build pride, and it can build a lot of things in you that will make it harder for you to get out of later on. It's I don't know how to really explain it. It's just it's a thing that's kind of sweeping the online community right now. It's something that I was warned about by my priest, and a few other people that I talked to. What they had experienced seemed really, really similar. And we just have to take it slow and make sure that we're practicing love, because I've seen a lot of pointing fingers from online Orthodox people and stuff like that. And make sure even though, yes, we're in the ark of salvation, right? And the saints talk about this. Yes, we're in the ark, but it doesn't mean that grace does not abound outside of the ark. So we can't go around calling this, and that heretic and heresy, and start throwing that word around, and not really know what it means, and not know the ramifications of that. So we just take it easy. Just be careful. Go to your services and enjoy your family, and learn through them, and learn through your priest. And don't get too caught up in all the politics and the online stuff that's going on.
I do have to say that my ladies group on Telegram, it's been amazing, because it's so supportive. We have about 90 ladies in there who are either inquiring or have been Orthodox for a while, or like myself, are catechumens. And it's so supportive. There's no negativity at all. I mean, I watch, I can't comment and respond to everything, but I do make sure that everything that people post is, keeping it positive. And there's nobody complaining about other types of Christians or Roman Catholics, or any kind of finger pointing like that. I have heard of what you're talking about, and I have heard that it's a big problem. But honestly, I haven't really noticed it myself. I don't know if it's just because of the type of content I look at, but so I'm not arguing with you or anything. I know that that exists, but I guess I've been fortunate that I haven't really seen it or experienced it. But I totally agree with you, and especially about having a real life experience with orthodoxy that takes place at the parish and at coffee hour after liturgy, and getting to know the members of the church and the families and the clergy, of course. And yeah, it really is the most important part of becoming Orthodox is finding the true in-person community of our faith. So yeah, thank you for
Right.
sharing. And then also, like, I think what you're saying too is not getting too intellectual. I mean, you see, I have my books, but I also pray and say the Jesus prayer and go to church. And so balancing the intellectual with the actually heart softening work that we do in our prayer life, and just in our lives, like daily, like how our lives transform through the nous is so important. So,
Yeah, yeah,
and
definitely
then
balance.
what was it like becoming baptized?
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, I've never experienced it before. It was just something really, really different and rejuvenating.
Mhm.
And it wasn't the moment. It wasn't the moment of the baptism. And that's the crazy part about it is it's kind of like your whole life flashing before you like right before you get baptized. You know, you really think about like everything, all of your decisions and all of the moments that happened beforehand that led you to this moment. Your entire experience previously is something that led you here. Everything led you here. Every decision, everything that happened to you. Um, that is what really tripped me out. That's what really tripped me out. And after being baptized, I'm telling you, it was kind of hard recollecting a lot of things, because I really forgot about certain things that happened in my past. And it's, I know that's a cliche thing, but I really did forget about a lot of stuff. And I think that is the washing, the cleansing, and the opening of the nous in our heart when we get baptized is legit, and it's something that you can really experience, not just hear about. That washing that happens is real. It really is.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard that too, that it's just like your old life is behind you, and the new, and like you're saying, like it's a real experience. It's not just in your head. It's not just something you think about or talk about. Like you really feel that letting go of the old, and now having this new life as a child of God, adopted by grace, right? Is that the saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
just the same. Yeah.
So I wanted to go just a little bit back because the Hebrew roots movement, it just sounds so interesting. I've never heard of it. Is it are they really looking at the Old Testament mostly, and are there practices, and I mean, is there a church service, like a liturgical service based on um Old Testament temple worship?
Yes and no. They are looking in the Old Testament for sure. Yes, a lot. Um, it's not as organized as you may think. It's not as organized. It's more of like a freelance online thing that
Oh,
happened.
okay. So it's new
Uh,
then. It sounds
it's
new, but
it's
based
rather new.
on really old
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
Okay.
They're basically what they're doing is, um, I still have friends in the movement, and if they only knew about orthodoxy, I mean, it would dissipate, it would stop.
Mm,
because what they're trying to do is what we are doing
mm,
in Orthodoxy.
mm.
It's literally what it is. They're trying to like reinvent basically what already is,
Mm.
and
Yeah, and they
that's what's happening,
probably, like you didn't know what Orthodoxy was. You
right?
had, it was by providence that you did learn what it was. And so for some of these people, maybe the same thing will happen. They'll watch a video on church history or something like that, and who
Yeah,
knows.
and that's the thing. What you just said right there, history,
Yeah.
like the the facts of the matter. The history is what's missing.
Mhm.
And when I talked about earlier, about things that were missing, and I felt like something was missing. A
Mhm.
lot of that was history. I did not know my Christian history.
Yeah.
I did not know what actually happened, the
Mhm.
schism in 1054, the 1517 AD Reformation, the details around that,
Mhm.
what led to that. Uh, I didn't know about these things,
Mhm.
and these things were not taught to me in the Protestant churches
Yeah. No.
because they didn't know.
Mhm.
And so, like, yeah, history is that core element that we're missing when we are outside of orthodoxy, trying to find, you know in creating these groups like the Hebrew Roots movement. These groups are being created, and there's more groups like that are coming about. You know that they're what people are doing is they're trying to find that missing element, and that missing element has a lot to do with history.
Yeah.
Knowing what actually happened
Mhm.
is crucial. Yeah.
There's a really great series on the channel called, I think it's called Orthodoxy 101. And the series is called Finding the Church That Jesus Built. And I think it's about 10 videos long. And it's by this really funny, really smart, cool priest in somewhere in the Midwest. And I watched that and it taught me so much. And even if anyone watching this right now just wants to go to my recommended videos playlist and just watch the very first one, because he's like dynamic, entertaining. It's an older video. It's like 10 years old. So it seems a little bit outdated at first, but the content and his lectures are so good. You'll learn so much. And he draws the maps of, of where all the different churches, all the different Orthodox churches come from these different places in the East. And then he explains about, like you said, the schism, and it's really good. So I hope if anybody watching this wants to learn some church history, that's my recommendation. I don't know, Daniel, if you have any books or any ideas for people to learn more.
Um, yeah, I do actually. Well, I have a book right here. Indication of the Way into the Kingdom of Heaven
Hmm.
by Saint Innocent of Alaska.
Oh,
This was one of his introductions to the Christian life, his instructional books that he had,
great.
and it's really really good when you're inquiring and trying to learn, like, well, what's it about? What's really going on? This is a really good book to pick up to kind of learn the basics and the beginnings of everything. It's really nice. It helped me a lot. So yeah,
And didn't a lot of the fathers come from Russia through Alaska to California? Isn't that how they came? I
yeah,
don't know that much about how Orthodoxy got to the US. It's something I would like to learn more about, but do you know
yeah,
anything about that?
yeah, yeah. So yeah, Orthodoxy in America. The gateway was through Alaska. I mean, that's how they landed here, and that's how it spread out. And like you said, it went down um, from the West Coast and just spread out more into the East Coast.
Mhm.
Saint Herman of Alaska, one of the big hitters in the faith. He he helped a lot of Native communities here. And it wasn't a colonization type of thing going on. It was they were curious about him because he was living the life here in Alaska, and they were kind of like observing him, and kind of in awe of some of the things that he was able to do. He was able to, communicate. And he was really good at communication. And the Native tribes, they witnessed him befriending animals, wild animals, like bears, wolves, things like that, and it really caught their attention. It really did. And so we have a huge community of Native Orthodox here who are just so wonderful, so wonderful. If anyone gets a chance, just look up Father John Oleksa, Oleksa. He's one of the reverends here who dealt a lot with the Native community. He has videos on YouTube and stuff, kind of explaining what happened in more detail with like St. Herman, St. Evaneli, etc. Here in Alaska, and what really sparked the Orthodox spreading that happened in America. It's really great. It's really great stuff.
Wow, that's super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the other thing I just wanted to emphasize here is something I hear a lot from my guests, and it was so cool to hear you say it too, is just that, again, that the Orthodox Church has what we were searching for, that we had this strong desire for truth, and we were going to find it at any cost, and it led us to orthodoxy. And this happens over and over again, and it's one of the reasons I started this channel, because I just love these stories of finding, and like you said, when you walked in and there were the icons that, like, visually, the sound of the choir, the smell of the incense, we, for our senses, we get to enjoy this beautiful experience, which makes it very different from Protestant, other types of worship that Western Christians participate in. And so, like you said, for some people, they have a little bit of an objection to that because they have these ideas that it's idolatry and stuff like that. But I know for myself, I feel like I'm participating in heaven when I go to divine liturgy. And I loved that you had that as part of your story too. So, yeah. Anything else you would say to a Protestant or someone from a similar upbringing that is kind of like interested in Orthodoxy, but kind of like, well, I heard this about the icons, or my cousin said, don't go to that Orthodox church. It's just it's like Christian paganism or anything like that. What would you, how would you invite someone like that to just to check it out and try to be a little bit more open about it?
My priest and so many other Orthodox great people, there's a saying, come and see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Come and see. If you can, because it's not about us getting them to convert, or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's about them making that first step to just come and see what we're about. Because a lot of the things that you just said, are assumptions that arise from their paradigm, from whatever their religion is, or whatever. The paradigm that their worldview, the lens that they see through, is not allowing them to see what we're actually doing. It's allowing them to see the assumptions of what they have either been taught about what we're doing, or what they just think we're doing, which is not the truth. And if they can just come and see, just have it's not complicated. It's something really simple. It's like just a simple invite, or maybe there's an event at your parish that's going on, and this person is good at social events. They like to be social. Just invite them to it. Just a simple invite is all that really is needed. It's a simple invite. Have them come and see, the environment, the family environment, the love that we have for each other is something that they need to experience. It's not I'm going to tell you about orthodoxy. It's orthodoxy is not something you can tell. And that's something I had to learn coming out of my convertitis. I was telling about orthodoxy. Yeah. It's an experience. I really had to learn this. And because I didn't know that's what I was experiencing, I thought I could just tell people everything and they would get it and be like, "Yo, whoa, yeah," Yeah. And no, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
And
just come and experience. That's it.
Kind of like how you were talking about Saint Herman. He attracted people to the faith because of the way he was living his life.
Yes.
And that's what made them interested, and that's what made them curious. And
Yes.
I totally get that, because like I've said so many times, this is about a transformation that takes place, and the people around you can't help but notice that your life and the way you see the world and the way everything starts to make sense in a different way, it does something to us that makes people think like, wow, something's changed about her. Or like they might not even put it into those words. It just might create a curiosity. And like you said, it's not about converting people anyway, but
yeah,
it's definitely about a lifestyle, and how we live, how our relationships improve. Like for me, my marriage has improved, my friendships have improved, my just waking up in the morning happy and grateful and feeling so blessed, and ending my day feeling the same way. I mean, there's so many ways that Orthodoxy's transformed my life, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, it's about that transformation. And it's nothing complicated. I mean, it's complicated, but not at the same time. There's a lot of paradox that happens in the faith, but it's simple. It's just come and see. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, I almost forgot. So tell us why you chose Hebrews 11:1 for Instagram for your account.
So faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That verse is something that stuck with me for a long time, way before Orthodoxy. And it's what helped me get to Orthodoxy, ultimately. It's something that I've always had faith in God. I've always believed in God, and it's weird, but I tell people I don't remember a moment where I did not believe in God. I don't. I was just, I grew up in the faith and believing, and that's all that's ever been, really. The only constant in my life has been faith, God. And that verse stuck with me because when my faith was being tested, a lot of the times that it was, that verse would pop up. And faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence. Faith is our evidence. Are the fruits that come about from our faith. That transformation we were just talking about. Those are the fruits of our faith. It's because we believe, and because we're working. Because we believe, we're working in synergy with God, and it's bringing about these fruits. And so that verse is just always stuck with me. It helped me get by. It helped me get to where I'm at.
Wow. And you went through that traumatic experience of the car accident. And it's just interesting how challenging times can either make one lose their faith or it can strengthen their faith.
Mhm.
And so that's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Glad to be here.
All right. So everybody who is on Instagram, if you want to follow Daniel, again, he's at Hebrews 11:1. And I am at A Devotional Heart. I want to thank everybody who subscribes, shares, likes my videos, leaves comments for us. We really appreciate the support. And if you can support me financially to continue this project, there's a PayPal link in the description of this video. And if you're interested in joining my women's Telegram group, just send me a message on Instagram, A Devotional Heart. The link is in the description. Actually, my bit.ly link is in there. It has all of my links. So this is now a podcast on Spotify for the month of January. I'm uploading an episode a day. So by the end of the month, we'll be all caught up. And Daniel, I just want to thank you again. God bless you. And this has been really fun.
Thank you so much. It has been fun and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys, everybody who is watching, I hope you have a beautiful day and I'll see you next time. Bye.